This is the Boston Celtics newsfeed on CLNS. Today is Monday, August 14th, 2017. This is Mike Walsh reporting for CLNS, the leading online provider of audiovisual coverage for the Boston Celtics.
After weeks of appetite whetting and hors d'oeuvres being served up by the NBA, it is time for the entree, hoop fans. At 6 p.m. Monday, the NBA released its complete 2017-18 schedule, including 82 games of sure-to-be-epic Boston Celtics basketball. The Celtics schedule breakdown is as follows. They play 7 games in October, beginning in Cleveland on TNT at 8 p.m. on Tuesday, October 17th. They then have a 16-game November slate before a huge 17-game December gauntlet. Things will lighten up in the new year with 12 January games and only 11 in February. They'll play 13 times in March before wrapping up the regular season with 6 games in April. Fans nationwide will be able to catch the C's on national television 34 times this season, with only 9 of those coming on NBA TV. To further break down this, the highest of holidays in the religion that is NBA basketball, I'm joined by Evan Valenti and Tyler Trudeau. You can see and hear Evan Valenti as host of the CLNS Celtics Roundtable, which just underwent a visual overhaul and looks great. Those guys are going to be reacting to the schedule release tomorrow on our YouTube page at youtube.com/CLNSmedia. And Tyler has hopped over from our Celtics coverage into a main role working the Patriots newsfeed and post-game, so you can check him out over there. Guys, welcome in. What's going on?
What's up?
Good to be here.
You guys psyched? This is a big day. It's one of the bigger days of the off season, I'd say.
That's how pathetical off season is sometimes. It can be really dull and boring. We get pumped up for the schedule.
Anything that you can get your hands on this time of year, where it's so exciting with free agency, and then it's like, oh, this guy's doing this one thing in somewhere. There's really nothing going on, so it's great to have some news.
We blast out our coverage of the NBA Africa game and stuff.
That's important stuff.
But there's some big games this season. Obviously, the opener at Cleveland on national TV. They're going to play in London against Philly, and there's some other huge games. I think I'm blanking on, what was the other one that just got released early in advance?
There was the Christmas one.
The Christmas one, yeah.
Day, yes, obviously, yeah. Happy holidays. Christmas Day, they are playing a home game, and from what I understand, it's the first home Christmas Day game in Celtics history. So,
yeah, I think you're correct on that.
All right, but other than that, I want to give some people some games to circle, some things to look forward to. So, starting with you, Evan, you said you have 5. Give me what's one of your big games. What are you looking forward to?
Second game of the year. It's the second out of the back-to-back, which is total, right up to the Celtics alley in terms of Celtics dominance. Second game this season, Bucks coming into TD Garden. Pretty much any time the Celtics play the Bucks is one I'm going to circle, because I think the Bucks, super talented team. I think they're on the up and up. Giannis just keeps getting better and better. They'll add Jabari Parker late in the season, so early on it's going to be sans Jabari Parker, but Middleton and Giannis and Malcolm Brogdon are going to present a problem for the Celtics. I talked with Bobby Marks months ago about the Bucks being a team that everybody's kind of forgetting about in this whole scrum of teams in the middle part of the Eastern Conference. They're going to be heard from, I think, sooner rather than later. I think this is the year. So the first the second game of the season, the first one at the Garden, is a game against the Bucks, 10-18. On your calendar. So anytime they're playing, and then they play again in Milwaukee on the 26th of October. So both of those games are high on my list.
Yeah, that second one is going to be on TNT. That's another national TV game. But yeah, the back-to-back to start the season, which reminds me, I did forget to mention, 13 back-to-backs this season, if my counting and doing math was quick on the fly here as soon as the schedule got released. 13 back-to-backs. But Tyler, what are you looking at?
Well, obviously you're going to always circle the day when the defending champs are coming in. Warriors are coming in. Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Steph Curry, everyone knows the names. Klay Thompson. Obviously going to be a great game, but this is a big test for the Celtics, as they've had success at the Oracle, but last year when the Warriors came into TD Garden, they just absolutely spanked them. I think they went on like a 22-0 run to start the third quarter or something, and they just got humiliated on their home court. So this is going to be a big game to show if the Celtics are really going to be one of those top contending teams to possibly beat Cleveland and maybe even match up with Golden State in the finals. This is going to be a big game that really can send a big message, and very early in the season too.
Sure.
One of the things that you look at in terms of like back-to-backs and all that fun stuff, again, Boston is usually pretty well on back-to-backs, but whenever you're facing a team like the Warriors or a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers, like life is going to be very difficult for you. But I think the added benefit of having another scorer on the Celtics in Gordon Hayward is going to be awesome this year, and it's going to make these games that have been, in terms of ratings, like they've been killers for the Celtics in terms of ratings locally. But these national games are going to be so much fun. It's going to be excellent to be a part of a big national landscape like this.
Oh, definitely. And it's funny you brought up the Bucks because I picked their April 3rd game as well, way at the end of the season, just because I'm really, like you said, this Bucks team is really growing into something that I kind of see hopefully what the 76ers probably want to be in the next couple of years. They're really young, really talented. The sky's the limit for the Bucks, and I'm excited to see them battle the Celtics this year.
Quick break here to tell you guys that today's show is brought to you by Audible, the best solution out there for digital audio books. If you're commuting to the TD Garden this Celtics season for a game, you're going to want to spend your time wisely. Membership with Audible includes 1 free audiobook a month, exclusive sales, 30% off regularly priced audiobooks, and unlimited access to their channel content. That content includes an unmatched selection of audiobooks, original audio shows, news, comedy, and more from leading audiobook publishers, broadcasters, entertainers, magazine and newspaper publishers, and business information providers. Be sure to take advantage of the 30-day Audible trial membership. Just go to audible.com/CelticsBeat and browse the unmatched selection of audio programs. Download a title free and start listening. It is that easy. Just go to audible.com/CelticsBeat. That's audible.com/CelticsBeat and get started with Audible today.
I get jacked up whenever the Spurs come to town. I'm not gonna lie. I love the fact that Stevens and Popovich always hold court like wherever the game is, whether it's in San Antonio or in Boston. Like I love the fact that Stevens and him have a great relationship. And I would love to know more about it. I would love to be like a piece of gum, like underneath the seat when those guys talk, like in the middle of TD Garden or in San Antonio. And San Antonio has presented the Celtics a very difficult challenge every time they've played them in the Brad Stevens era. And I think this might be the first time that Brad's had the horses to kind of go up against the team led by Kawhi Leonard and Greg Popovich. I'm very excited for that. And sort of the same light, I'm really excited for when they play against the Houston Rockets a little bit after Christmas. It's going to be the second night of a back-to-back on the 28th of December. It's going to be the third game in 4 days. That's going to be a real rough stretch for them. After that'll be the last game in that stretch. That third game in 4 days, they have to play Chris Paul and James Harden. It's going to be a difficult matchup for Boston, and it's at home, which they're lucky, but it should be a difficult task for them.
Yeah, that December is going to be brutal for them. They have a stretch in there, I think, of 5 games in 6 days, something like that. They have the sort of bracketed back-to-backs. Sorry about that. You mentioned the Spurs game. October 30th, they will be playing on NBA TV, 7:30 against the Spurs at home. And they have another national TV game, I think, December 8th. So part of that crazy December they're going to have at the Spurs, part of that road trip, 9:30 on ESPN. And all right. Let me see. One of the games I'm looking forward to more of a sentimentality reason is going to be the Detroit at Boston game earlier in the season, Monday, November 27th. That is going to be Avery Bradley's return, and I'm just curious what kind of return does he get? What has he earned, I guess, in your eyes or in the eyes of fans and Jumbotron operators?
I think he's definitely earned a little something and maybe a standing ovation when he gets announced, but I don't know if he's at the level of the Rondo, KG, Paul Pierce level of getting whole minute and a half video montage that everyone loves to see. So it wouldn't surprise me if they did it. And I loved when Avery Bradley was on this team. Still probably going to be one of my favorite players in the league, but I don't think he really has earned the superstar treatment that Rondo, Pierce, KG have all deserved with their amazing careers. And another thing about that Avery Bradley return game, that's just also the first game that Morris and Baines will be playing against their old team, the Pistons, too. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there. Even though they're not going back to Detroit, they're still seeing some familiar faces.
Yeah, that one's going to be fun. I think in terms of a reception, Avery Bradley's going to get a decent one. He's the last remaining member of that championship team. He's the last connection they have to KG and Paul Pierce. he's going to get a decent reception. Now, is it going to be the level of Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett? No, he wasn't that big of a contributor to those teams, but he's still a champion in the eyes of Celtics fans. And I think he'll get a decent montage video. I mean, you watched him grow up. He was a young, spry 19-year-old when he came into the league, and now is a full-fledged man with a family and all that stuff. It stinks that he's like. I think a lot of Celtics fans understand that he is just basically a cap casualty. If there were a way to have him on this roster that was feasible, he'd be there. And a lot of people are still a little sad about him leaving, but it's just the way business goes. And I think a lot of fans understand that. He'll get a really awesome reception and won't have to pay for anything when he comes back to Boston. So he'll be good.
For sure. Sort of sticking with this theme of return games, Wednesday, March 28th is going to be Gordon Hayward's return to Utah, to the Jazz, where he obviously left this offseason. And it was, I mean, not an amicable split, but it wasn't, terrible. But then you start thinking back on it and everything that went down on the 4th of July with the news coming out and then him retracting that news and just sort of going back and forth. He strung him out a little bit. So what do you guys think of that reception? What's he going to get out there when Boston plays Utah?
Not going to go well. I mean, It's very clearly not going to go well. It didn't go well when it happened. Jazz fans had a meltdown after meltdown. I mean, I get it. You're upset. Your franchise player left. I understand that. I don't think they'll remember the good times. I think they'll give him a real big earful by the time he comes back because they saw themselves as an equal in terms of competing on the biggest stage. But when you have Golden State in your conference, like life is a lot harder for you, and there's no guarantees. It's much easier in Boston. There's a familiarity there too with Stevens. So I understand why they'll be upset. I just will like it because I'm a Celtics fan, and that's good news for the Celtics fans.
I really don't think it's going to be 100% booze. There's definitely going to be some upset fans in the crowd, but I feel like he was a fan favorite of theirs. Obviously, that doesn't protect people like Kevin Durant who leave, even if they were fan favorites before. But I still think it also may depend on how the Utah Jazz season is going. Maybe if they're doing terrible, they're on an 8-game losing streak, things are going terribly, Gobert's injured, they're going to be really pissed when he shows up because you're like, oh, you could have saved us. But who knows? If the Jazz can put together a great season and really step up and things are going good in Utah and basketball is hot and they're winning and everyone's happy, like I could definitely see him getting a little bit of love from Utah. But, again, it's not going to be like that welcome with open arms type of reception that Avery Bradley is. I'm at least expecting him to get that, and I think many Celtics fans expect that too. Gordon's definitely going to be more on the negative side, unfortunately for him.
Yeah, good. All right. Do you guys have any other huge games you want to get to?
April 10th against the Wizards, second to last game of the season. They had a late game in the regular season, and then they had that epic showdown. These are definitely, besides the Cavs, the top teams in the East with them and the Celtics. So it's really always fun to see them play the Wizards.
Yeah, that one's Tuesday, April 10th. That's on TNT, nationally televised at 8 p.m. at the Wizards.
That's again, all the ones, any game against the Wiz, any game against Cleveland, any game against Golden State, it's going to be must-watch television. But some of the other ones, again, I think the Bucks are going to be very good this year. So I would circle that one on the calendar. And in the Eastern Conference, it's going to be kind of lame. So any game against the upper West, the upper echelon of the West, is going to be a lot of fun too.
Sure. I just got a couple quick deep cuts to list for you guys. The first of which, Sunday, February 4th at noon, the Portland Trailblazers will be visiting Boston. That not really huge for basketball reasons, but that is Super Bowl Sunday. So if you want to draw a little lines of conclusion from there, you in particular, Tyler, with your work on CLNS. But Portland, Boston, Seattle, Boston, you never know what might happen there. Seattle, New England. So that one at noon on Sunday, February 4th. Friday, January 5th, I'm just looking forward to seeing what Minnesota looks like as a team. So that'll be the Timberwolves are coming to Boston on January 5th. Looking forward to seeing that. And finally, just Sunday, December 31st, New Year's Eve, they play at 5:30. Wanted to mention that. That's at home against the Brooklyn Nets, and that also is game number 40 for them, which is, I feel, unusual. Maybe not. They play 40 games before New Year's because it looks like the schedule really thins out in the second half.
All right, guys, thanks so much to Tyler, Trudeau, and Evan Valenti of CLNS for joining me today and going through the 2017-18 NBA season. Guys, it's right around the corner. Looking forward to it. Thank you for tuning in to the Celtics newsfeed. Follow CLNS on Twitter at CLNS Media, and be sure to subscribe to the Celtics newsfeed both on iTunes, Stitcher, and the CLNS Media Network's mobile podcast app. This has been Mike Walsh for Celtics Newsfeed.